Well, today's hump day, Wednesday, April 7th, and yesterday on Tuesday, I could really feel the effects of my 99-mile week. Yeah, I stopped at 99 and a half miles, but I could really feel it, and it probably didn't help matters that Monday, I went out and did 7 or so miles in the morning, and then we ended up going out hiking with Amanda, and she wanted to do 7, so doing a 14-miler after a 99-mile week. So I basically did 8 days of 100-mile averaging, kind of. You got to do 14 miles a day, basically, to get 100. And throw in a 5K on Saturday. So I was pretty trashed yesterday. Probably should have went to bed early. But I've been playing this bankroll challenge in poker on America's Card Room. Started off with $25 and trying to build it. I can't play more than 1% of my bankroll. And I bet the bankroll up to about $35, which means I basically can't play anything. I play all the tournaments under $1. So what I do usually is I wait till the last part you can register. So you come in short stacked, so you don't have to sit there for hours and hours to try and make it into the money. And last night, I really like playing the games besides Hold'em. And so it was pot limit, high-low, Omaha, and got in, had some good hands, played well, made the money, and then things just kept rolling. Ended up making the final table. I was on the final table and thinking I might even win it, but now it's almost like 11 o'clock at night, getting really tired, and unfortunately just ran in. The deck went cold on me. Ended up getting third, so it was a nice little score because you really don't make any money in these tournaments until you make the final table. To say the entry fee's 50 cents, you make the money, you make maybe 80, 90 cents, and then it doesn't really bump up till you get to the final table where you might make $5, $6 or more, so you can kind of get the idea. So went to bed, completely passed out, still woke up at 1, thankfully passed out again for a couple hours. Just came out of here doing 6 times 10-minute walk. It was pretty slow, but got the legs moving, and I am got a race this weekend, a 10-miler, so I am trying to kind of recover from last week's 99 miles. And so it's going all to plan for the most part. I usually recover pretty quickly. And I don't really like to taper a lot because I just get really, really sluggish when I taper. And of course, the more miles in training you do, the less of a taper you need. It's people who don't train very well, don't train a lot, they have to have more of a taper. The beautiful Smart and Final parking lot. Been going to this store for 30 plus years. So I know I've been talking Clubhouse quite a bit. You might be tired of it, but if you're not on it, you should definitely try and get on it. It is invite only. You got to have an iPhone as well. So it makes it an issue. But there's a lot of great stuff on there. I've been just talking to so many people from around the world. Had a great conversation yesterday about heart rate monitors and using them, and whether the merits on the wrist version versus the chest. And I think definitely when you're more of a walker, you can get away with the wrist versions, and the chest monitors definitely when you're running. And then, of course, we were talking basically, as long as you're just using the same method all the time, you can have a baseline at least. Another one that I really liked, it was a fairly well-renowned sleep doctor. If you can direct message me, and I can kind of pull him up on Instagram. But he was on hosting. They were doing a Clubhouse room on sleep and running, and talking about how people just don't accept the fact that sleep is part of your training, which I do, and that's why my sleep now is so concerning. I've been getting 6-7 hours, and then it's just gone to crap ever since I had the Pfizer shot. And just talking about how so many people just don't want to embrace it, and so many people just burn both ends of the stick, and that's when you recover. So I got a chance to go on stage and ask him a question, and I told him about my experience with the Pfizer. He had the Pfizer shot as well, and he said it really knocked him out for a couple days. And that's what happened to my wife and a couple other friends of mine. Me, it really didn't bother me that way, but it did knock me off to sleep. And he said, yeah, he's anecdotally heard that, no scientific study that it's been messing people's sleep, but it's also because it's just messing you up physically, and then there might be lingering effects for a while because you get knocked off your balance, your homeostasis. And I definitely had that issue because I kind of got the shot at the same time as the daylight savings time. So the combination of those two things, I think, really threw me out of whack. And then, of course, my Johnsburger fall was March 9th, and that's about when I got the shot. And I'm sure that plays on my mind, even though I don't think of it. In fact, I'm almost there at Johnsburger, the culprits who dumped the grease on the ground that I slipped on. So a combination of all those things. Thankfully, the sleep is kind of coming back, but he said, what happens too is when you have the disruptions, you fall out of your good habits, darkened room, cool room, no, electronic devices and all that kind of stuff. And, if you do take naps, which are great, but you might have mixed up and changed your nap cycle. And I think that's definitely the problem I had. Yep, I've been endurance training since 1979, 42 years. Never had an injury, knock on wood. But a year ago, here at Johnsburger, my wife loves this place, still eats at it, even though they tried to kill me. Well, they didn't really try to kill me, but I was out walking 5:30 in the morning, the day after daylight savings time. It was dark. I was listening to a podcast, and this is their drive-through, and you can see there's still grease marks. There's some grease right there. That's what I slipped on and fell. All my weight on my left leg. Couldn't walk for 6 weeks. Then at the end of April, I ended up in the hospital, diagnosed with congestive heart failure. But I think it's more my body just went nuts, not doing something for 6 weeks. So who knows? But that's good old Johnsburger, and unfortunately, I have to walk by it all the time. So it's kind of like the scene of the crime, and just having to see it every day is kind of tough. I had to cut out quickly because unfortunately that's F Street, big major street that we walk on all the time. We call it the F Loop. And of course, there's homeless guys always living on it, which is just crazy because it's such a major street. Bakersfield Police Department drives by all the time, but never stops and makes a move. But I mean, shoot, it's like 8 o'clock in the morning. Guys sitting there, and my motto is, avoid trouble if you can. So I'm not going to be walking along talking to my phone, and they'll probably freak out or something. Kind of neat here. That there, it's a no soul food spot prepared by Chef Denweed. For decades and decades, Joseph's Italian joint was there. Awesome pizzas, pasta, and I would go there. It definitely was my go-to before race. Food, of course. Who hears of pasta feeds anymore? No one carbo loads anymore, so that's kind of the thing. But unfortunately, it's a family business. In fact, the sisters have, there it is. The sisters have businesses. The people that own Joseph's were sisters. There's a Rose's in town. There's a Sorellas in town. And then the mom and family owned one on the coast. Good food, but things were kind of going south for them before the pandemic. And when the pandemic hit, it's really hard for mom and pop businesses. And so it's sad to see them go. But the soul food place is open. I hear it's really good, and I definitely need to check it out someday. They've been pretty good business-wise, so it's good for them. I lived in Georgia for years, and so I did have a taste for some of that stuff. I remember when I was in Georgia, they served you okra and collard greens, cornbread, black-eyed peas for school lunch. And I was a Yankee. I'd come from the Boston area, and at first trying to eat that stuff was pretty rough. So it's hump day. I think I'm going to be packing for a road trip that I'm hoping to go on tomorrow. More details when I get there if I go. I often, during this whole COVID era, I'll have plans to do something and then just decide it's not safe, or I just don't want to go off and do it. So not going to say much about it. Thank you guys all for the views, the likes, the comments, and the subscribing. Definitely want to get to that 1,000 if I can. And as always, stay healthy, be boring, not epic. Been pretty sleepy for the past hour or two, but I made the final table on this pot limit high-low, and doing my bankroll challenge. So right now I got to play tournaments that cost less than $1 to enter. So I signed up for this one, and unfortunately, it's not the right one.